Point of order.
Manifestation.
All
Not
right,
directed,
you may proceed, Honorable
this
Marcoleta.
is not directed to the members of the Justice Committee, but I observed the presence of Mr. Kiko D from the audience. Though he was allowed to be an audience in the proceedings, despite his withdrawal of the second impeachment complaint, I suggest that he observe proper decorum. Because if you remember,
May we know the action of the Honorable D or Mr. D, which is not consistent with decorum?
I'm just speaking from experience which
Means he hasn't committed any yet.
not yet, but as a forewarn, as a premonition or a warning, he during the archiving of the impeachment at the Senate, Mr. D,
Madam Chair,
Mr. D,
Madam Chair, wala pa naman palang ginagawa. Let us not...
Point of order. Let us wait until he finishes, and then
Can
I
you
will
just
be
allow me to
recognizing
finish?
determination of sufficiency in form.
Madam
If the other
Chair.
members,
Madam
the
Chair.
Honorable D.S. Guerin.
Madam Chair, prior to proceeding with the indulgence of the members of this committee, since the allegations were baseless and not contained in an affidavit, and this is the subject of an impeachment complaint totally unrelated to what was mentioned, may move that the words and the allegations as contained for congressmen getting money in the office and being delivered in the townhouses be stricken off the records. So moved, Madam Chair.
There is a motion to strike off from the record the manifestation of the Honorable Suntay with respect to the money taken or received in relation to the...
Basically, Madam Chair, the statements, the allegation mentioned by Congressman, or my good friend, my very good friend, Congressman Suntay,
You are good friend to each other.
Very, Madam Chair.
Very much, Madam Chair. So,
There is a motion to strike off from the record the manifestation of the Honorable Suntay about the money taken or received by allegedly by the members of the House. Is there a
Madam Chair.
second? The same has been seconded. Is
Madam
there any
Chair.
objection?
Madam Chair.
Are you-
Madam Chair, I have no objection considering it has been published.
The Honorable Marcoleta, are you objecting?
No, ma'am. In fact, I'm appealing to
Let us resolve first the motion.
reinstate the.
So you are objecting.
No, I'm appealing to reinstate the remarks earlier made by.
The motion is still pending. It's not yet resolved. If there are no objection,
Cannot object.
then the chair approves the motions to strike off from the record the manifestation of about the money allegedly received by the House members from the manifestation of the Honorable Suntay. So ruled. Honorable Marcoleta.
Madam Chair, I'd like to appeal. I think the remarks earlier made by Honorable.
Is that a motion for reconsideration?
It's more of a manifestation.
Okay, please manifest.
Opo. The earlier remarks made by Honorable Suntay is an appeal for objectivity, impartiality, insofar as the proceedings of the Justice Committee is concerned. Ang binanggit po niya, if we will, no offense to the most of the members of the Justice Committee, there are 25 House members named in the affidavit of the 18 ex-Marines, 25 names, which comprise around 1/3 of the membership of the Justice Committee here, all present.
The Honorable Marcoleta is likewise reminded to confine the manifestation to the relevancy of the current impeachment
I
proceeding.
think it's very germane, ma'am, because we will, it boils down to the objectivity and impartiality of the members.
Honorable Marcoleta, we have not reached even the determination of sufficiency in form, and the chair has stated already that the Justice Committee is assured of the impartiality of the chair, including all the members. I think that is premature for us to discuss on the partiality when we haven't heard any of these impeachment complaints. So unless the manifestation has relevance to the current impeachment proceeding, the Honorable Marcoleta is requested to cease from making manifestation outside the subject matter of this impeachment proceeding.
Madam Chair, with due respect to the 25 members who were mentioned in the affidavit,
Honorable Marcoleta, you're reminded by the chair already to confine to the subject matter of this impeachment proceeding. If you continue to make a manifestation outside the subject matter, we will be ruling you out of order. With all due respect, Honorable Marcoleta.
I submit to the wisdom of the chair.
Thank you. We shall now proceed to the determination of sufficiency in form. For the guidance of all the members, in determining sufficiency in form, we will be dealing with the following questions. Number 1, whether the impeachment complaint was signed. Number 2, whether the impeachment complaint was properly verified. Number 3, whether there was a proper endorsement by a legitimate incumbent member of the House in cases filed by citizens. Number 4, whether it was included in the order of business within 10 session days. and refer to the proper committee within 3 session days. Number 5, whether the impeachment complaint is compliant with procedural formatting and jurisdictional requirements. And last, whether the impeachment complaint complies with the 1-year bar rule. We will be holding our deliberation, one impeachment complaint after the other, beginning with Castro et al. Impeachment complaint, followed by Father Sabalia et al. Impeachment complaint, and finally by Cabrera impeachment complaint. After all the deliberations are concluded, the justice members will be proceeding to vote again one after the other impeachment complaints.
Madam
To
Chair.
begin with,
Madam Chair.
I was about to call you Honorable Tino. What is the pleasure of the Honorable Tino?
No, a parliamentary inquiry based on the pronouncement of the chair as to the scope of determination of sufficiency in form. In our rules, malinaw po, a verified complaint for impeachment by a member of the House or by any citizen upon a resolution of endorsement by any member hereof shall be filed with the office of the Secretary General and immediately referred to the Speaker. An impeachment complaint is verified by an affidavit that the complainant has read the complaint and that the allegations therein are true and correct of his personal knowledge or based on authentic records. So those are the parameters for determining sufficiency in form. My concern, Madam Chair, is that the chair mentioned additional matters such as, for example, whether or not the filing of the complaint complies with the 1-year bar. Wala naman po sa explicit rules on impeachment yon. And in fact, let me note that the 1-year bar applies to an impeachment proceeding, not the filing of a complaint, but the initiation of an impeachment proceeding. No, kaya po nagtataka lang po tayo bakit nadagdagan po ng mga kailangang i-determine ng committee ito at this point when the rules are very clear. We only have to deliberate whether or not the complaints are verified and whether endorsed by a member of the House, Madam Chair.
Before the Honorable Flores respond to the manifestation of the Honorable Tino, we would like to recognize the Honorable Micah Gonzalez, Deputy Majority Leader, the Honorable Ana York P. Bondoc from the 4th District of Pampanga, and the Honorable Ramon Rodrigo L. Gutierrez from the One Rider Party List. The Honorable Flores is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, tama naman po yung sinabi ni Congressman Tino na hindi siya specifically mentioned yung timeliness. But I think it should be part of the consideration in determining form, Madam Chair, kung timely nga ba yung pag-file ng isang impeachment complaint. Because it would be useless for us to consider any impeachment complaint that was filed within the 1-year bar period, Madam Chair. And I think it is important that we determine it together with the other formal requirements of the impeachment complaint na dapat nga may, kung ako nga lang ang masunod, dapat part of the verification should include a statement that this complaint was filed na outside of the 1-year bar rule if there is any. Because it would be, again, useless for us to determine the validity of the form if we know for a fact that it was filed well within the 1-year bar rule, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
All right? The Honorable Tino?
Madam Chair, if I may, the Constitution itself says, with respect to this 1-year bar, that no impeachment proceedings shall be initiated against the same official more than once within a period of 1 year. So it speaks of initiation of impeachment proceedings within 1 year being barred. No, proceedings. Hindi po sinabing filing of complaint. And it is very clear in our own rules and in jurisprudence that an impeachment proceeding is initiated not by the filing of a complaint, but by referral of plenary of the complaints to the Committee on Justice. Hindi po ba malinaw yun, Madam Chair? So, kaya po, tingin ko, bakit po ginagawang issue ang hindi naman issue? The Constitution, yan po ang pinakamataas, no? Nagsasabi, ang barred for 1 year is the initiation of an impeachment proceeding. Not the filing of a complaint. The filing of a complaint does not initiate a proceeding, Madam Chair. So, Madam Chair, please enlighten this representative kasi nga, lumalabas po tayo sa konstitusyon, no? Sa sa nais niyong pag-include ng timeliness of filing. Wala naman pong ganung rules, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Flores is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Supreme Court in its decision noong July 25 to 2025 clearly said that no new impeachment complaints, if any, may only be commenced no earlier than February 6 of 2026. That was clearly stated by the decision of the Supreme Court in July 2025. And while it may not have been stated, as correctly pointed out again by Congressman Tino, na ito lang yung sinabi ng Constitution natin, but in interpreting that provision of the Constitution, the Supreme Court came out with this decision that no new complaints may be commenced no earlier than February 6 of 2026. And it is silent on this point on its resolution of the motion for reconsideration noong January 2026 po, Madam Chair.
Madam
The
Chair.
Honorable Ridon,
Madam Chair.
and then the Honorable Chua, and then the Honorable Patiernos, and then the Honorable Suntay.
Well,
Honorable Ridon
And
first.
then Madam Chair.
Well, before proceeding further, Madam Chair, I think what the endorsers wanted to do is to reframe the matter, no? That we should not discuss it as part of sufficiency in form. But, and if this is not the situation that they want to find themselves in, I think we have to discuss it as a threshold question. And whether or not their filing is actually barred based on the Supreme Court decision and all other relevant constitutional provisions and rules of impeachment proceedings, no? So is that the pleasure of the endorsers, Madam Chair? To
May
determine this as
we
a-
request the Honorable Tino to confirm whether your concern is only to consider the compliance of one-year bar rule as a preliminary matter instead of including that in the determination of sufficiency in form?
My position, Madam Chair, is that the question of timeliness is not relevant at all to these proceedings because the initiation of the impeachment proceeding is well after the so-called one-year bar.
Nonetheless-
Based not on the original decision of Duterte versus House of Representatives, but on the ruling on the motion for reconsideration. No? So, and Madam Chair, perhaps I will.
Just for clarity, Honorable
Opo,
Tino, would you
Madam
like to
Chair.
discuss the one-year prohibition period prior to our determination of sufficiency in form?
Oo.
Is that your pleasure?
Sabi ko nga, Madam Chair, na-anticipate ko na merong tutulad sa yumaong si Congressman Edsel Lagman, and they will raise a prejudicial question before the actual deliberation on
Madam
sufficiency in form. No, I do not. I am not.
So what is the pleasure of
Moving
the
for that.
Honorable Tino?
Okay, I am merely actually okay. If I may,
Because
I
there
would
is
like to raise a point of order. Therefore, that deliberations on so-called timeliness of filing is not within the scope of this stage of the impeachment proceedings. No, because we are, as the chair mentioned herself, in the period of determination of sufficiency in form, and as our rules very clearly state, no, that consists of determining whether or not there is a verified complaint and whether or not this is duly endorsed by a member of the
What
House.
actually is the point of order of the Honorable Tino? Is it your intention that to actually set aside the discussion of one-year bar rule in
Yes,
relation
Madam
to
Chair.
your complaint?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Chua first and then the Honorable Flores.
Yeah, if I remember it correctly, the Honorable Tino manifested a while ago that he wanted to be clarified with respect to the word initiated. Tama po ba? Yes. Now, let me just clarify it. Let me walk you through the case of Supreme Francisco versus the House of Representatives. Your Honor, Madam Chair, in that case, the Honorable Court states that the impeachment proceeding are initiated upon filing of the complaint and or resolution and its referral to the committee. Therefore, there are two acts that should be followed. First, the filing of the complaint. That's why the filing of the complaint is also necessary because that will determine the one-year bar rule. That is included in the determination of the one-year bar rule. Now, as already manifested a while ago, already expounded or explained by the Honorable Vice Chair Flores, that in the first decision of the Supreme Court, it stated expressly that no impeachment complaint should be filed earlier than February 6. And in the second decision, there is no such express statement from the Supreme Court. There is this so-called statutory construction between two conflicting laws, one express and the other one implied. The express should follow. Now, having said that, Your Honor, I believe that it is mandatory and it is necessary that we should first determine if this is filed within the one-year bar rule. Why? Otherwise, this will all be inutile.
The chair is now ready to hear the motion with respect to the sufficiency or insufficiency in form of the third impeachment complaint.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Zamora.
Madam Chair, I move to declare the third impeachment complaint as sufficient in form.
There is a motion to declare the third impeachment complaint sufficient in form. Do I hear a second? Is there any objection? Hearing none. The chair declares the third impeachment complaint, that is Father Sabalia et al. Impeachment complaint, sufficient in form. So ruled. The chair is now ready to hear the motion on the fourth impeachment complaint. The Honorable Padiernos.
Madam Chair, I move to declare the fourth impeachment complaint as sufficient in form.
There is a motion to declare the fourth impeachment complaint, that is Cabrera impeachment complaint, sufficient in form. Do I hear a second? The same has been seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none. The chair declares the fourth impeachment complaint, that is Cabrera impeachment complaint, sufficient in form. So ruled.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Marcoleta.
point of order. This is not directed to the members of the committee.
Madam Chair, our good friend is not a member of the committee.
Yeah, but I can
Perhaps
It's a
you can
point of
just
order.
manifest
Or this is
instead of raising a
manifestation.
point of order.
manifestation.
All
Not
right,
directed-
you may proceed, Honorable
This
Marcoleta.
is not directed to the members of the Justice Committee, but I observed the presence of Mr. Kiko D from the audience. Though he was allowed to be an audience in the proceedings, despite his withdrawal of the second impeachment complaint, I suggest that he observe proper decorum. Because if you remember,
May we know the action of the Honorable D or Mr. D, which is not consistent with decorum?
I'm just speaking from experience when the
Which means he hasn't committed any yet.
not yet, but as a as a premonition or a warning, he during the archiving of the impeachment at the Senate, Mr.
Madam Chair,
Mr. D.
Madam Chair, wala pa naman palang ginagawa. Let us not...
Point of order.
Let us wait until he finishes, and then
Can
I
you
will
just
be
allow me to
recognizing it.
finish? During the archiving of the impeachment, Mr. D booed and made a gesture of thumbs down at the VIP gallery of the Senate.
All right. All right. Honorable
gusto ko lang naman
Marcoleta, but it is
just for them
apparent
to observe
that
proper decorum.
the Honorable D hasn't committed anything yet, which is not consistent to decorum. Would you like to say something, Honorable Dilima?
Yes, Madam Chair, it is completely improper for our colleague here to raise that matter. And he has not cited any act of misconduct or misbehavior on the part of Mr. Kiko D. And alluding
Would you
to
like
that,
to make a
alluding-
motion to that effect?
Yes, my motion is to strike out the manifestation.
Second, Madam Chair. There is a motion to strike out from the record the manifestation of the Honorable Marcoleta. The same has been seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is granted. The manifestation of the Honorable Marcoleta is hereby ordered stricken out of the record.